it's Kirby. Welcome to my channel. Today we are going to be reviewing the Kat Von D Lolita palette. It is a beautiful palette. I do this look in the video, so if you are interested in seeing how this palette performs, costs, all of that jazz, plus how I got this look, then please keep watching. Alright guys, so today we are going to be reviewing the Kat Von D Lolita palette, a much anticipated collection from Kat Von D as her Lolita liquid lipstick kind of, again, took the beauty world by storm because it's just like a really nice, neutral, like pinky shade for all. She recently launched a Lolita collection that involved the palette, a liquid liner, and like a shimmery lip topper sort of a thing. I did not get the whole collection. I just got the eyeshadow palette. This is the box that it actually came in. So the box looks like the palette itself, and on the back of the box, what's really nice is that she has all of the colors as well as their names. I personally love when brands do this only because then you don't have to worry about people opening up the package, even though they still do, to see like what colors there are. They show them on the back. I really appreciate that. I like it. This palette retails for $39. It is available at Sephora as well as Kat Von D's online retail website. I will link all of that in the description box below, so if you're interested in this palette. But again, I personally love this packaging. I love Kat Von D's packaging, like, bar none. I think it's some of like the nicest packaging, most aesthetically pleasing to my eye, personally. So I'm always a big fan of her packaging, and this palette does not disappoint. On the back, it doesn't show you the shades that are in the palette, it just shows you the color names that are in the palette. But on the inside, there's a mirror. I love when palettes have mirrors, great to travel with. The names of the colors are also underneath them, which I love as well. So this is a really nice, well thought out palette. The shades go basically from light to dark. There's a couple ones that I might have like swapped, but again, this is not my palette, so I can only tell you what I am thinking. I'm going to throw up a few swatches here for you. Okay, so here are the swatches from lightest to darkest. This is Promisa. That is like undetectable. It shows up, you can see it in person like very, very slightly, but it is like unbelievably pale. And then you have Vestidos, Recuerdos, Hermosero, Con Amor, Lolita, Corazon, and Eterno. I'm sorry if I butchered any of those names. I am unbelievably uncultured in terms of languages, even the English language. So again, super sorry if I butchered any of those names. The eyeshadows were extremely buttery to swatch, and the finger swatches for matte colors, again, you can see swatched very, very lovely. So I am excited to see how they perform with brushes. I have worked with Kat Von D eyeshadows in the past, and the only complaint that I have with them is that they do have quite a bit of fallout. When you do put a brush in the pan, it basically kind of like crumbles. When I first saw this palette, I basically felt like I needed it in my life because these are like my tones. However, as you just saw in the swatches, this palette looks a lot more like purpley blush toned, but in a swatch, it's kind of more of like a very, very dark black undertoned purples and like burnt sienna blushes. So they do swatch and they do show up, at least on my fair skin tone, a lot darker than they look in the pan. When I first saw this on Instagram, I was like, yes please, I absolutely need this in my life. It's going to be like an everyday palette for me. When I then saw it in person in Sephora, I was kind of like, oh, that is very reminiscent of her Plum eyeshadow quad. Like, so much so that I feel like there are many colors that are the same and or very, very similar. So this is the Kat Von D Shade and Light Eye Quad in Plum. And as you can see right next to it, they're like unbelievably similar, and or there might be some colors that are like the same, if not slightly different by like a drop or two of pigment, if you understand what I'm trying to say. Let's do an eye look. I have already done my foundation, eyebrows, I've prepped my eyes. I want to go like dark. I want to do like a dark look, like dark, vampy lid. Like, I don't want to be sparkles. I want this to be like dark. So I don't even know where to start. I don't do a lot of dark, vampy lids because I ain't got nowhere to go. I am the mother of a 2-year-old. I go to bed, well, I go to bed at like midnight, but my body is ready to go to bed at like 8:30. Let's start with Besitos. And I'm going to be using a Morphe E28, which is just a fluffy blending brush. Yeah, these have a lot of kickback, which does not matter to me. If that matters to you, just be aware of that. I'm going to put this above my crease as a transition shade. I don't think that was the right brush to use for that, but it'll have to do for right now. Then I'm going to, with the same brush, go in to Hermosura. Is that how you pronounce that? If I'm really butchering these names, please comment in the comment section, like phonetically, how I'm supposed to say these names, because I'm not trying to offend anybody. I legitimately do not know how to pronounce them. So I'm doing my best. But I'm going in with that Hermosura. That's what we're going to say. And I'm going to put that just slightly below in my crease, just kind of building up that like purple color. Then I'm going to take Corazon, which is this like really purpley color, and I'm using a Wet n Wild tapered shader brush. So if you're wondering what I mean by there's a lot of kickback, because I know a lot of people are like, I'm not understanding what you mean by a lot of fallout or kickback. This, in Corazon, do you see all that powder generated on the palette? So whenever you take your brush and you're digging in, like, that's what I mean by fallout or kickback or dustiness. That's what I mean, is like when you dip your brush into it, a lot of fallout happens. Like a lot of the powder kind of crumbles underneath the brush. Then I'm just going to take that Corazon on the tapered shader and just kind of like pack it on my lid. And as I've stated in other videos, fallout and kickback does not matter to me personally if the eyeshadows perform well. So if there's a lot of like dustiness or a lot of kickback, but I still get like a very vivid color and they blend very well, that does not matter to me. I know, however, that is not the case for everybody. Alright, then with my clean E28, I just cleaned it off a little bit. I'm going to take Lolita. I'm actually going to take Lolita and kind of blend that Corazon color up and out to add a little bit of warmth. I'm just taking this Laura Geller shader brush and going back into Corazon and just kind of packing it more on the lid just to keep it nice and deep. So I'm really happy with how that turned out. We're going to move on to like a liner. Yeah, we're going to, we're going to keep it nice and chunky. We're going to go into this Eterno color, which it looks like deep purple in the pan, but swatched, as you saw before, it was like black. So I'm going to take this Aesthetica brush, this angled Aesthetica brush, which is like unbelievably fat and chunky, and I'm gonna kind of like create a nice smoky wing. And this can or cannot go according to plan, so like we'll see. Yeah, it doesn't look too bad. I wish I would have laid down some tape to make it a little more crisp. And then we're also going to press that Eterno with this angled brush on the lower lashes. And last but not least, I'm going to take this e.l.f. blending eye brush and I'm going to take that Lolita color, which is more like a red than a purple. It's definitely more of like a blush tone. And I'm just gonna buff out this like lower lashes. Yeah. I am going to go finish the other eye and the rest of the face and come back for final thoughts. But initially, I am really liking how these are blending out. So let me finish the other eye and clean up whatever mess I made here because I'm not so sure about that right now. So let me use some concealer, work my magic, finish this eye, finish the rest of the face, and come back for final thoughts on the palette and if it's worth the $39 or not. Okay guys, so here is the finished look. Did the other eye, popped some lashes on horribly, so sorry if they look kind of weird. I know you probably can't tell because this is a really dark smoky eye, but I can tell, so sorry in advance. Overall thoughts about the Lolita Kat Von D Lolita palette. It's $39, which is a lot of an investment for a palette that only has, what, 3, 6, 7, 8 colors? I mean, that's essentially $4 and about 88 cents a eyeshadow. So about $5 per eyeshadow if we're rounding up. That's a lot of money to invest. The eyeshadows, like I said, offer a lot of kickback, which does not bother me. I know it bothers a lot of people. It doesn't bother me so much. It just also might mean that you hit pan sooner because you're wasting a lot of the eyeshadow. They are incredibly buttery though for being matte eyeshadows. Usually mattes are extremely chalky and it's hard to kind of blend and apply them. These are really buttery. They're super soft and they are very nice. I am, however, seeing on my eyelid as like I was taking pictures and as I was like doing this eye, my eyelid is kind of like breaking up a little bit. Like the eyeshadow is catching on itself, and that's the Corazon color. I don't know if that's because it's like more vibrant or it's a different formula. I did set my eye. So how I do my eyeshadow, I prime it with concealer, then I set it with some like translucent setting powder, and then I apply my eyeshadow, which in my mind would probably make it better, like it would stick better. Maybe I'll have to try it again without setting my concealer or my eyeshadow primer and see if I get any of that breaking up. You can't tell on camera really, so like what you're seeing, or at least what I'm seeing in my screen, you can't tell that significantly that it's breaking up, but whenever I look at it closely or am taking pictures of it, I notice it. And if I'm noticing it, then I'm sure other people are probably noticing it as well. Those are very minor complaints. I also like jacked this eye up. It did not turn out the same way as this eye did. But we'll just cover it up with some hair. It's no big deal. Overall, I'm not disappointed that I purchased this palette. So I spent $39 of my own money on this palette. Am I disappointed? Absolutely not. Will I use this palette? Absolutely. I think it has a lot of nice matte shades, a lot of transition shades. This palette is definitely like an everyday palette for me personally because I use a lot of these tones. If you already own the Shade and Light Plum palette, I honestly don't think that you need to invest in the Lolita palette. As I said prior in this video, there are a lot of similar shades in the quad that are in the Lolita that I think you could get away with doing many of the same looks. Like many of the same looks. So if you already own the Kat Von D Shade and Light Plum quad, you don't need to invest in the Lolita palette unless you absolutely 100% have to have the other 4 shadows that are in here. If these aren't really the tones that you stick to, if you are not a purple person, if you are not a blush toned person, if you are not like a smoky eye person, because pretty much from, I don't know how to pronounce this word, so pretty much from this shade, this like medium purple shade down, it's like dark. It is going to be smoky, it is going to be dark, vampy. If that is not your aesthetic, save your $39. If that is your aesthetic, you might want to invest in the $39. Whatever skin tone you are though, if you're picking this up in store at Sephora, please swatch it on your arm first before you decide to purchase this palette, because these colors, again, in the palette are very deceptive that you think they're going to be a little bit more true to the pan color. And in my experience today and swatching them in the store, they aren't. they're very, they're just a lot darker than I had anticipated them being, which again is not a problem because I do many different looks, but for those of you that might only stick to like one or two, you know. Overall, I am not disappointed that I spent the money for this palette, and I will definitely put it to good use. I hope that this video was helpful in your decisions or the review of the Lolita palette, to let you know kind of like what it's about, how much it was, how it worked, how it functioned, which I like. This is a killer smoky eye to me. Like, I really like how it turned out. I wish that I would have used some tape or like a shadow shield to make this a little bit more crisp, but those are future Kirby tips and tricks that I can look back on this video. If you enjoyed this video and you find it helpful, please give it a big old thumbs up. Let me know everything in the comment section below. Are you addicted to the Kat Von D Lolita shade? Are you not? Do you like Kat Von D's products? Do you not? Let's start a conversation. Everything that you need to know about what I'm wearing on my face will be in the description box with links so that you can check any of them out. Any, all, none, whatever you need. It will all be down in the description box below. As always, please be sure to subscribe and hit the little notification bell. I would hate for you to miss out on another review or tutorial. Thanks so much for watching, guys.